I think I'm set up for everything. We got sound. Yeah.
Well, that'll be it for me tonight. So, good luck to our runners, and good luck to Natara on her amazing commentary.
Thank you, and thanks so much for your previous commentary. It was excellent as always.
I can only reiterate that, yeah. Thank you, thank you. Alright, yeah, I'll fix the runner name. It's too many runners with too many names. There we go. Got him. Alright, I think I'm set up on my end, and just going to see if the runners are ready. And then we can kick this off. Alright, Natara, good luck on commentary, good luck to the runners, and hopefully we'll see an exciting race.
Oh, it's definitely going to be an exciting race. A somewhat doubleheader, how can it go wrong? Okay, so we're just getting everyone ready. Actually, Omega's just dropped out, so the race should be starting at about 10-ish seconds, not accounting for delay. So I will do my best to keep everyone straight and not mix everyone up, but I'm sure you guys will let me know if something gets mixed up. Wow, they started literally all at the same time. That's magical. Okay, so first off, with this category, it is Kefka Narshe, so it is only an hour and a half long and ends when we defeat Kefka at Narshe, as you may have just seen at the previous race. Right from the get-go, it is quite technical, making sure to do our menus, put battle speed to 6, message speed to 1, and the cursor to memory. We want the battle speed to 6 in order to slow down the enemies, to give us more time to get in. In. Right at the beginning, you're seeing all of them are trying to get Vix and Wedge to run away. That is part of some experience routing. Unfortunately, everyone but XCode managed to get everyone gone, though XCode did at least manage to get, I think it was Vix to run away, even if Wedge was stubborn and wanted to stay and hang out. So, the interesting thing about Final Fantasy VI is each character has an individual runaway gauge that is completely invisible. Plus, so that has to fill up before someone can run away. Plus, the character has to have a full ATB gauge, which is the one which is visible on the screen. So, what the general strategy is to have all characters run away during an animation, as you are guaranteed not to run away while you see attack animations. Also, if someone's ATB gauge is full, they also will not run. So that's how they work it. So Vix and Wedge run away, but Question Mark, otherwise known as Terra, does not. We really want to make sure we get all of that experience, because by the time we hit the big Moogle fight in about 6 or 7 minutes, we want Terra to be at level 6. So getting as much experience here at the beginning while you... I wouldn't say you're undamageable, but while you're extraordinarily powerful is really important. So you're going to see Terra is using the Bio Beam in order to take everything out. And in certain of the battles, we can't just Bio Beam everything, because there are certain enemies which have a can't run code on them, such as the Vomammoths in the current battle and Lobos. So we have to make or pincer attacks, as one of the previous attacks were. So we either need to clear out one of the sides and or remove all non-runnable enemies from the screen. So that's what they all did. So other than, like I say, one person not running on XCode, they all did really well there. We are seeing that reBarbaloot did get an encounter immediately upon going into the cave. General strategy, if that happens, is you want to try and kill them with fire with Terra. However, if you're step routing, you shouldn't get that encounter at all. So either he did not attempt to step route, or it didn't work. So either way. Now, Welk fight. This is an intro fight, so it generally isn't particularly hard, but we're trying to do it quickly, and we're going to use a strategy referred to as the wait trick or a counter cancel. And what that does is, while we have a menu up, it will prevent any ATB for any of the characters, bosses included, from increasing. So by putting in commands at specific times, we're basically just pushing everything in front of the queue and trying to kill Welk before it goes into its shell. That did not happen for Valdercorn. Let's see what happens here for XCode. The problem that occurs when you don't get the quick kill is it means you end up attacking the shell and you get a counter. Unfortunately, or actually, it was unfortunate that we got a single character attack, but because we have to sit and wait for the shell anyways, best strategy is to just heal up Terra to make sure she doesn't die. It looks like XCode did get the quick kill, and part of that strategy is to actually purposely attack the shell while Welk is out and use the time granted by Welk countering to queue up more commands and finish him off. So XCode is proceeding. Now, as mentioned earlier, we want to make sure that or let you know that there's two separate races, quote-unquote races, happening here. Up at the top is one race. It's Valdercorn versus reBarbaloot, so they are against each other. And the bottom set of runners was supposed to be XCodes versus Zelnus, but Zelnus had to forfeit in advance due to known illness. So as such, XCode has the chance to run. If he gets a PB, that can be used for tiebreaker purposes for future matches. So we know for sure that he is going to win this match, which is why you see the bottom matches showing as 1-0 and 0-1, because we already know the outcome, unless for some strange reason XCode has to forfeit, which in almost every case he shouldn't have to, even if the run goes terribly wrong, because he knows he wins. So this marathon is going to go on for a while. The Swiss round should go until the end of December, and then there will be a break for Christmas, well, nearest the end of December, so we'll have a break for Christmas and also for AGDQ, and then we'll pick up again after AGDQ with the single elimination brackets, from what I understand. So XCodes is where he is ahead, is now getting the chance to name our main character, who is Terra. For almost every character we're going to encounter in this run, we are going to rename them to a one-character name. The reason for that is all of the text in this game does scroll, so for every name that has an extra character in it, that is time that we are losing. So by decreasing the characters in all of the names down to one character, it does save time. Actual seconds over this run, which is an hour and a half, and I think quite a bit of time in a full category run. We can't give the 0-1 person in the bottom right a chance to progress because they chose to forfeit. We do have set limitations for when the matches in the rounds have to be completed, and due to illness they knew they wouldn't be able to do it and chose to forfeit. So we just know that it's a lose. I hope that was your question. If it wasn't, then please rephrase and I will try my best. So what's happening now is, now that Terra has been let loose on the world, the strategy is to get her now to level 6 before triggering the next cutscene. We will know when she's at level 6 because she learns the spell Antidote or Antidote. For those runners who are on step route, which should be both XCodes and Valdercorn, they will know exactly where they're going to get their encounters and what encounters they will be. As such, they will fight all of those encounters and then farm one extra encounter before the cutscene. So they will know exactly when they will get level 6, which is very convenient. Bit of a downside, unfortunately, for reBarbaloot. Let me see here. is that where he's not on a step route, it's completely random what encounters that he will get, and as such, he just has to hope and pray that everything turns out how he's hoping for it. So we'll see how that goes. Might have to lose some time there farming extra encounters. Yes, as Mr. Svensing says, this was always the matchup, so it's just easier to put the score there as is. Yeah, it is a little confusing. It took me a minute too when you were asking. I was like, why is that? And then I understood. So it's definitely a completely valid question. So looks like XCode did get the level he needed. Valdercorn very close behind, and so they are both purposely triggering the cutscene. Again, I do want to reiterate, even though Valdercorn and XCodes are very close to each other, they are not racing each other, so their outcomes do not affect each other. Oh, hey, no, please, ask away. I am here to explain all of your valid questions. I do want to put that qualifier there. So please, if it's not making sense, keep asking. And if I understand and can answer, I totally will. Questions are important. Especially the awesome questions. So we have hit cutscene land, and an interesting thing about this game, and it's one of the reasons it makes an excellent casual game, is all of the cutscenes. And not quite so fun as a speedrunner, but due to the way the text scrolls, it does make it a longer run, but it does mean you get to actually read more of the text than you do in other such runs, such as Final Fantasy IV, where you just literally can't read anything. It goes way too fast. Oh goodness, guys, we're getting into the favorite characters and themes. That is a disaster. Let us just say my favorite character in Final Fantasy VI is Ultros, though my favorite player character is Locke. All of the music is fairly equal because I think we can all agree, even between all of our favorites, this soundtrack is amazing. It is just beautiful. So we're learning about all the terrible things, or some of the terrible things that Terra has had to go through in her life with the Empire. Unfortunate memories to be regaining, but that's there. No, don't worry, I got your back for Locke. He is the best. Speaking of Locke, he has just arrived for XCodes, and again, will be renamed down to, it looks like Low in this case, still faster than the full Locke name, and he wants to make sure that you are aware that he is a treasure hunter, not a thief. So please don't mix that up, he'll be very sad about it. So he is here as a representative from the rebellion, the resistance, not yet named, but as most of us know, are called the returners. And everyone so far realizes that this woman with her powers is going to be the key to ending the war for whichever side she's on. So they want to make sure she's safe. So the category that's currently being run is referred to as Kefka at Narshe. So just after the 3 scenarios finish, there is a big battle where you fight Kefka at the end. As soon as he escapes, that's where this category ends, and it's approximately an hour and a half, give or take, depending on the runner. Yeah, it is an incomplete category. It makes excellent, so it doesn't run too long for marathons such as this. It's easier to learn, and it's a really great segue into some of the full categories. So categories like this are fabulous. So there's no world records as such because it is a shorter category, but definitely really great at showcasing what FF6 speedrunning is like. So right now, everyone is getting ready, or currently in the big fight with the Mughals, where usually you would take your 3 parties, put them at strategic spots, and fight your way down while protecting the person in the back. Well, we don't have time for that. Fighting, it's not happening. So a really cool mechanic in this game is that if you walk past one of those guards while they're currently in a movement animation, like the leg is out as if they're walking, you will not trigger an encounter. So we use this to our great advantage in order to skip all the fights and immediately encounter the marshal at the bottom. So everyone's skipping the tutorial. what you want to do in this fight is you want to run right away at the beginning to try and avoid that net, or at least delay it long enough that if Mog happens to get netted, you can still do what you need to do with him. And that is to remove his mithril pike, and if you want it or have time, also his mithril shield. So you cannot do that if he is stopped. So the mithril pike is put to pretty great use. Unfortunately, reBarbaloot did get the timing a little off on that dodging one of the fights, so he is going to have to fight it, but thankfully all it is a time loss. It really doesn't make anything particularly dangerous at this point. Yeah, this tournament has been excellent. I had never run this game myself before this was announced, and I learned the category. And let me tell you, I'll be picking up one of the full categories once the tournament is over, because it is a lot of fun. Speaking of someone who started speedrunning with Final Fantasy IV, this is a fabulous category to pick up and a really great game to speedrun. There's a lot of excellent tech, which just either makes things easier or more enjoyable. So the one bonus that reBarbaloot had by doing that earlier battle is he did learn Mog's dance. So we don't put that in because it is not faster, but if you went through the scenario anyways and can get Mog to not stumble, it is much more powerful in what you want to do in that scenario. So one of the big important things in this game when you're on step route, wherever there are encounters, you need to make sure to generally take the shortest path. But it's a little different on the world map because there are certain spots on the map where there are no encounter tiles. And so our runners who are step routing will be walking a very precise route in order to hit as many of those no encounter tiles as possible. Even if you're not on step route or have managed to mess up your step route, it is pretty important to always hit those because it's less encounters and your threat doesn't increase. So you definitely do want that. And thank you so much for the resubscription to Fryth42. All subscriptions are greatly appreciated and definitely support a wonderful channel which helps brings us such events as this. So, of course, we have reached the castle of Figaro. Very lovely place to be. Sandy, warm this time of year. I know I enjoy it. So, and we are being introduced to the king, the young king apparently, Edgar, or E. I personally like to rename him B. One of the fun things that some of us do while we're playing this category is since we're supposed to be naming people one character anyways, it can be a little fun to spell things out. So yeah, we have some fun with that. I like to spell out BLT because who doesn't like a BLT or bacon? Well, even if you don't, I do, so it makes me giggle. So I will note I do really love the Figaro theme. It is one of my top themes. It is wonderful. So one of the hardest parts about Figaro Castle is both knowing where the encounter, the particular triggers are for the plot, and really specifically movement. There are so many stairs. They can be a really bit of a pain to navigate and just know where you're going. So with practice, it's pretty easy. Dodging those chocobo guys can also be a little bit interesting. So yeah, this is definitely a big section of let's get cutscenes. Not quite as intense as the Imperial camp later, though, which is we refer to as camp cutscene because, oh boy, but we'll go into that a little further. So we are being introduced to yet another new character who, let's be real, we all love him, and who proves later on in this run he is the brawn and most certainly not the brains of this game, Sabin, or named S. So Edgar's younger brother, he left. He traded his throne for freedom. Like, who wouldn't? And instead became a big tough guy, which we really super appreciate, especially as the run goes on. He is extraordinarily powerful, and we like the damage he does. So with that trigger in place, it is time to go talk to Edgar again and hope the Chancellor there, who has since appeared after that plot trigger, doesn't try and troll us. Now, most of the time he's pretty good, but like all NPCs, sometimes they just want to watch the world burn. Not happy at all. Oh man, that's spoilers in the chat. Spoilers! It's true though. And he didn't cheat, Edgar cheated. If we're being precise. He cheated for good reason. So, if you guys like cool antagonists, well, you have, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, what I feel is the best antagonist in all of the Final Fantasy games, Kefka. He's a super interesting character, his laugh is divine, so is his theme, and he's the only one who actually wins. You do beat him afterwards, but yeah, he wins first. So we do get some longing gazing going on. So a fun little game you could do, which does save a frame or two, but not enough to really super matter, is if you mash fast enough while talking to the two soldiers next to Kefka, you can make them stare at each other. If you don't get it quite fast enough, but you do get it fast enough on the second guard that you talk to, you can make one longingly gaze at the other while the other one's just totally ignoring them. So it's a lot of fun to try and do. Plus, it's one of those early game validations. Not a true validation for your run, but it's definitely pretty cool. So if we are looking for the schedule for this marathon, there are two links in that Kefka Narshe, the kind of blurb which I posted, and the second one will have a list of the current standings and all matches as they are currently scheduled. So they will round 2, which we are currently in, lasts until Tuesday. So hopefully Wednesday or shortly thereafter, the next set, the round 3 pairings will be posted, and the schedule will be updated. So do feel free to check the schedule and see both what races are upcoming and where they're going to be. If it is currently empty, there could still be time for someone to pick it up, but we do not guarantee that all races are restreamed. So we are just about to the end of this section of cutscenes. After telling Kefka, no, there are no like weird girls here. You know, there's tons of girls here, but no one that you'd find important. Kefka, for pretty obvious reasons, doesn't believe you whatsoever, and lights your stone castle on fire because he's a kind, gentle soul. And one thing that you'll see is, you know what puts out fire really well? I'll give you a hint. The castle's surrounded by it. Thanks, guys. Solo casting is fun. Little difficult, but I enjoy it. So, thankfully, Edgar, being the king that he is, has a plan. So, not only does he have chocobos ready and waiting in order to take our party to safety, he has a castle that can submerge. I'm sorry, but I don't know about you guys, but if I ever wanted a castle, it would be one like this that could submerge into the sand, like, right? So thankfully, sand puts out fire, and being covered in sand protects from evil, not-so-nice guys like Kefka. So yeah, he's totally abandoned and really super not very happy about it, and sends some Magitech armor after you. There's so many beautiful insults in this run. So, for those of you who are familiar with this game casually, often you will use Terra to cast some magic, and because fire is a really powerful spell. Are we not? Are we? Oh, I'm not gonna say anything for a second, because I want to see what's playing out here. Okay, good. It was a defense. Someone was playing with it and decided not to. So, if you use magic in this battle, or really any of the battles between here and South Figaro, you will get a 40-second cutscene, which is honestly one of my most favorite cutscenes in the game. But unfortunately is 40 seconds, which we can't get back. So, if you want to hear about magic, I definitely recommend playing this. However, instead, we have Edgar and his very powerful auto crossbow, which he uses to great effect to two-shot these Magitech armors. They really just don't build them like they used to. Yeah, guys, son of a submariner. I don't even know what it means, but it's beautiful. I'm sure it has some sort of rational, actual relevance in terms of insults, but it's probably just so outdated we don't even understand anymore. Kind of like Spoony Bard. It actually means something. It is a legit word. We just don't use it anymore because it's completely out of date. So even though there's no magic been seen by Edgar, they are talking about how it's going to help us win the war, things are going to be great, and how no human has it. And so Terra is very obviously a little upset about that, because she obviously has magic. And they agree to take her to the Returner's hideout, where hopefully she can make up her own mind about what she wants to do. But they're definitely not going to tell her what to do, because that would not be the right thing. So the strategy here, unlike other Final Fantasy games, you do not get any experience in most, if not all, boss battles in Final Fantasy VI. So in order to do our experience routing, we do have to make sure to fight enemies in certain places. So one such place is here in the South Figaro Cave. And if you're on step route, then you will be fighting every single encounter here, and probably everyone even if you're not. But the strategy is attack with your auto crossbow, and for the only things it doesn't kill in one shot, which is just potentially the Blearies on a very low damage roll, then you just follow up with an attack from Locke or Terra to finish them off. And really easy peasy cave, but giving you that necessary experience. Again, reBarbaloot is he's not going to know what encounters he's getting, as is not on a step route. The only encounter you would not want to fight in this cave is a pack of just 2 hornets by themselves. I think there's not enough experience. Oh, and it looked like XCode got that one. But when in doubt, better to attack them and get some extra experience. But the general rule is don't bother and skip them. So this set of world map walking that XCode is doing is actually, in my opinion, one of the hardest ones in the game, because it's a lot of like down right, down right, down right, and it's a little picky to do fast. So that is definitely walking you want to do in order to make sure you get all of that. So going immediately to the relic shop after dodging the NPCs and equipping sprint shoes on Terra and putting our entire party in the back row. Now we do want specifically 3 sprint shoes, 3 pairs, as that means we won't have to remove a pair from someone else later in order to do everything that needs to be done in this category. But occasionally when you're not on step route, you won't have enough money, or if something goes wrong, and you certainly can make do with 2 pairs or can sell some things, but generally speaking, you don't have anything useful enough to sell. So we're putting everyone in the back row because in most, if not all cases, if no one's going to be physically attacking, anyone who is being fought in the next section is either going to be fought with Edgar's auto crossbow, which doesn't require front row, Terra's magic, which doesn't require front row, or Locke is just not going to fight at all until the boss, and in which time we put him in the front row. Okay, so we are getting some safety strats here from reBarbaloot, picking up only 2 pairs of sprint shoes and a star pendant. So that is definitely really helpful, and he's making sure to do his equip of the putting the mithril pike we took from Mog onto Edgar, and then taking the mithril blade from Edgar and putting it on Locke. Generally speaking, it is faster to do that during the battles. We have enough battles which we run away from on Mount Colts that are non-mandatory. It's generally faster to do all of that equipping in the different battles. Making sure to go off the path to pick up the Atlas armlet, which when equipped on Edgar will increase his attack damage, both for his physical attacks and for his auto crossbow, both of which we're going to be using during the course of this run, so quite important. A trend you're going to notice is we're going to do whatever we can to bump up Edgar's physical attack, and we're going to do whatever we can to bump up Sabin's defense. So, other little modifications we do for different characters as we go, but those are kind of two constants and a lot that we're doing. So, these brawlers that you're going to see on XCode's screen are ones we run away from, as they are some of the first enemies, at least before the Atlas Armlet, we can't easily one-shot, and they just don't give enough experience to make it worth it. Looking like Valdercorn got the encounter that he did want on the side of the mountain, though I did miss whether he managed to get Locke to run away. The way the experience routing works on Mount Colts is by the end of Mount Colts, when Sabin joins us, we want him to join at level 11. So in order to have that happen, we need Edgar, Locke, and Terra to be at levels 10, 9, and 8 respectively, which the way the level averaging works is it takes the average of your current character's levels plus 2. So by getting those specific levels, we will get Sabin to join us at level 11, which will ensure that he has Orbolt, which is, I'm sure as most people who have played this know, is quite a powerful blitz, especially at this point in the game. And we are going to take great advantage of it. So, but as part of that experience routing, Locke just has more experience than the other two. So in order to make everything work out just right, we make him run away from one of the battles if at all possible. And then he, yeah, but that has to be set up pretty specifically, again, with making sure his run gauge is filled up and that both Edgar and Terra's run gauges are low, or their ATB is at least not full, so they don't actually run away because they need the experience. Can Sabin even start without Orbolt? Absolutely he can. If you get Sabin at a level that is lower than 11, he will not have Orbolt, and you will have to level him up to get it. So, yes, XCodes did have the Wedge who did not run away, so he is going to be a bit off route. So still not bad. He is still in the lead as I see it. One of the reasons you're going to notice here on both XCodes and Valdercorn's screen are going to explain why reBarbaloot picked up the Star Pendant. And the reason for that is the Star Pendant makes you immune to poison, but if you equip it while you're poisoned, it will remove poison. And those enemies, that the Trilliums that they're fighting, have an ability called Bane Touch, which will inflict poison. And we need Terra at a certain MP amount for the boss, which is coming up. So it's generally not particularly good to have her casting Antidote, though again, better to do that than to have your characters poisoned, because that leads to dead. I was told that you needed him at level 11 in order to get Orbolt. But again, I could certainly be wrong. We'll certainly figure out. Someone should look that up and we'll find out officially what that is. So we are all reaching the boss, and by all I mean Valdercorn has reached it, and XCodes has to farm some encounters. It looks like he doesn't quite have the levels he needs. So we are going right into Vargas and his 2 Ipus. So the strategy here is we want to use Fire with Terra, Auto Crossbow with Edgar, and then make sure Locke goes last of the 3 in Oh, excellent. Well, good to know. I have learned something today and will modify my commentary forthwith. That's great. Okay, cool. So it just makes him stronger. I like strong Sabin. So yeah, we want Locke to go last because we use Row to put him in the front, and by going last, he should delay long enough that at least one, if not both of the bears, will be dead by the time there. So that means he will take less damage and will stay alive for longer, which is certainly a bonus. I'm actually impressed that I managed to get commentary this long and no one's corrected me on that before that, because I've been saying that for many commentaries. So thank you guys for fixing that for me. We're a team here. We work well together. Yeah, later blitzes are ones that you will learn later. That's interesting. I'm not going to get into that discussion because I am unaware and do not have the knowledge. So the point of this battle is to get Vargas to a certain HP point, and once he does, then he will blow your characters, or Sabin will show up and he will blow the rest of your characters away. And to actually finish the trigger for this battle, you are just looking to use Pummel, which is left, right, left. If you get your timings right, which I don't know what those exact timings are, earlier in the battle, you can manipulate it so either you do not get the Doom Fist from Vargas at all, or he'll do it immediately, which means he will be done with the extra text by the time it's Sabin's turn to attack, so you also don't lose any damage. We don't worry about Doom because the battle doesn't last long enough for that to even matter. So they are now in the process of recruiting Sabin, which of course we definitely want, because as much as we love all of the characters, or so many of the characters in this game, at least in this category, there are certain characters which are more useful than others, and they're definitely the ones we're going to take to the final boss. And Sabin is one such player character, so that is excellent. So for now, the Valdercorn is in the lead. He has finished Vargas and is continuing on, though XCode has also finished Vargas, but once again, he is not in a race against the other two, so his status, where he is irrelevant comparatively. We just want him to get a good time to help him for future matches. For XCodes, and reBarbaloot did just finish his Vargas. So again, everyone is still really close, and there are so many points in this run where leads can be retaken and runs can die. So we don't want any run death for any of these people, but this is still really early days for all of them. So we will see what happens. So doing a safety save before going into the returner's hideout for Valdercorn. And there is an actual reason for that. So currently you see he is being automatically led by this soldier. And there's another resistance soldier that was just down to the right and out of the way. That is ideal, but the placement of that NPC can be in numerous places, and it is actually possible, though not likely, that that other NPC can be right where your NPC is leading you and traps them so nobody is moving. And if that happens, you get soft locked because you are still locked into automatic movement, so you can't leave and walk around or anything. So that is good. So you will see many of the runners continue or do a safety save outside of there because of that. So some of them definitely do choose to YOLO it, and especially if you're step routing, you in most cases have manipulated it so you know where that NPC is going to be. But we have seen it in this tournament that soft lock happened, so it does happen. So what is occurring now is we're going around talking to people as part of plot point triggers and picking up necessary items, or at least partially useful items for the rest of the run. The most important items which are being picked up are 2 Phoenix Downs and a True Knight. So the Phoenix Downs are critical, or I wouldn't say critical. There are other parts in the run where you can acquire them, but you do, by some point later in the run, need to have 2 Phoenix Downs to do the strats optimally. And the True Knight is a really useful piece of safety. So by picking those up, talking to Locke, then Edgar, and then Sabin, you are then able to go and talk to Baron. Now, while talking... I don't know why I call him Baron. I know why. Too much Final Fantasy IV. So we talked to Bannon, and we want to say no to him 3 separate times. And the reasoning for this is if we say yes at all, we get the item called Guardian. And it's a neat little relic, which, if it worked correctly, has you equip one weapon with 2 hands, and it's supposed to make it more powerful. Unfortunately, it was not programmed correctly, so does not do the extra damage, or there's something about it that is glitched incorrectly. But if you say no to Banon 3 times, not only do you skip a cutscene, but you instead get given a Genji glove, which allows you to put a weapon in each hand, and is supposed to have a penalty to make it not quite so good, whether it be to accuracy or something else, but that item is also broken, so you don't get that penalty. So we want the item that is broken in our favor for obvious reasons. So getting that, we will be equipping it shortly, but for now we are finishing up our cutscene and moving along. And we want every strategy that is cheesy. So we're going to see who does the river manipulation here. The only 2 who can even possibly do it are Valdercorn and XCodes. You have to be on the specific seed which is used for this game, 244, in order to do the river manip. So the first thing they're going to do is make sure to equip the sprint shoes on Sabin to get ready for his scenario, and put the Genji glove on Edgar, which will then automatically equip. Next, what they want to do is save at that save point and reset. Once they hit the save menu, they will reset a second time without loading, which is very important. The last step is moving down to the bottom of that screen, and we're going to see this here now shortly for Valdercorn once he loads. And he is going to wait for that to leave the screen for that soldier to go onto the carpet. Now, to my eyes, it looked like he left a little bit early, so his river manipulation may not work. And when it does work, what the river manipulation does is, on this river, there is a possibility of 9 separate encounters you can get. The first 4 mandatory. No matter what you do, you will get those encounters. But other than that, it's RNG. However, if you correctly do the river manipulation, you are guaranteed to get 2 and only 2 encounters. Oh, goodness. And then Valdercorn accidentally went right. So that, even if he did get the river manipulation correct, it is out the window now, because it does count on you doing that. But by the fact he got an encounter so early, I think confirms that he did not have the river manipulation, unfortunately. So yeah, and let's be fair to the programmers of these games. Programming is hard, and there's no way to get all of the bugs. So I like to just enjoy the bugs and absolutely abuse them for what they are. So looks like we've got 2 on the river, and we're just doing our equip right now for reBarbaloot. So he will also be joining them shortly. I will note that 2 of them so far have equipped Sabin at this point. Generally speaking, we wait until Sabin's scenario while in the Imperial camp to equip Sabin, as that's a better time save, and he doesn't really need it much before then. Though, equipping him now is a bit of extra safety, and if you feel you need it, better to be safe than sorry, truly. I usually manage that with safety saving. Oh, interesting. So Valdercorn did put not only Edgar in the front row, which we want, but also Banon in the front row. We'll see what he does with that. Probably looking to put him in the back row with some menuing, because we do a purposeful row in the next fight. So the next fight, which is coming up, Valdercorn getting there first, is my absolute favorite, Ultros. So this fight is another one. It's one of the hardest fights of this run because it's very particular. So if you do it correctly, it will be the exact same every time. There is no varying in the ATB gauges, unlike the other boss battles, because Ultros likes to talk. So it's really precise with its weight tricking. But if you do it correctly, you can kill Ultros before he says delicious morsel and before he does any sort of damage to you. Now, why this is particularly important is because there's a really not fun mechanic that Banon has, which is if he dies, it's game over for the whole party. No Phoenix Downs, no recovery, game over. So, and if you don't kill Ultros fast enough, he just starts throwing tentacles everywhere, including a multi-party tentacle, which has a very high chance of killing Bannon, especially if he's not at full HP. So what he did actually is he kept Bannon in the front row, and rather than using Bannon to row in his first turn, he just used it to get an extra attack off for safety. So that does make sense. So far so good, though he did get an extra tentacle on Sabin, though not dead. Perfect. Excellent. So it wasn't a full quick kill Ultros, but it was a nobody dies Ultros. So for me, that's a win. Let's see XCode, what he's doing. An incorrect blitz input. That is not... You don't want an incorrect blitz input at any point, but you especially do not want it on Ultros because, again, you are fighting the clock to dodge those extra attacks on him. But that doesn't mean it is not recoverable. So we will see what happens. And even getting the delicious morsel message is not the worst thing in the world. You can still, if you're doing your everything else correct. Oh my goodness! So we had an incredible amount of luck there for XCode. So one of the reasons we often have Terra attack when she is down like that, because we anticipate the hit, is because there is a 1 in, I think it's 16 or 32 chance that she will do her desperation attack of Riot Blade. And you don't see it very often, and it used to actually be the strategy for this fight, as you just saw how absolutely overpowered it is. So 1 in 16, excellent. That's what I thought it was. So that was amazing. And yeah, that is amazing, especially with the problems with the incorrect blitz inputs that he was having. So that was an incredible RNG save there, and we can all only hope we're that lucky when we run it. So it's certainly the first time I've seen it while commentating, especially in the Ultros fight. So that was beautiful. Enjoy it. Remember the time when you were here for Riot Blade. So we are... Oh my god, we got a second one! What are these strats? So reBarbaloot also getting Riot Blade. Wow, I'm so happy I chose to commentate this race. This is beautiful. I've never seen that twice in a row. So to continue on, the strategy in Sabin's scenario, we want Sabin's scenario first in all scenarios of this category. The reason being is at the end of the scenario, we can buy smoke bombs, which are incredibly useful and save a lot of time in the next two scenarios. So yeah, we definitely want that. So in the beginning, we pick up Shadow. Technically, he's not necessary, but he does add some safety, which we like safety, especially in Marathon. And we don't bother to rename Shadow because he simply does not talk enough to make it the time save worth it. In fact, I think you'd probably save more time by not renaming him for the amount he talks. When you're step routing, you're trying to avoid getting an encounter in the forest like XCode did. I do want to note here on Valdercorn's screen, though, watch the soldier on the left, the very left. He's a man after my own heart. Or a soldier after my own heart, I should say. He just wants in that wall, so he's going to charge it until he makes it through. Beautiful. So yeah, you want to not get that encounter in the forest, because any encounter that you get before the Veld is an encounter that can potentially show up on the Veld, which is bad. And that stray cat encounter is not awful, but not great. You certainly do not want it. But now, here on Valdercorn's screen, we are just getting our next character, which is a Cyan. And what he's going to do a very specific menu here, where not only is he going to equip the sprint shoes for a bit of extra speed, but he's going to put the battle speed back up to 1, which is the fastest enemy. And the reasoning for this is, for this battle, we want to use his counterattack, Sword Tech Retort. And so, since we need to be attacked for that to work, we want the enemy to attack as soon as possible. I do want to note, don't accidentally dispatch in this fight, because you can die in this fight. You can see the amount of damage that the leader is doing. looks like that he did get the common drop of a black belt. I think it's 5 out of 6 chance you get the black belt, and the rare drop is a phoenix down. Seems backwards, but in our case, we generally, for safety, would prefer the phoenix down. Though we are able to sell the black belt if we get it for quite a bit of cash to help. So yeah, I've had Royal Shock happen in a run, but there's no strategy that ever plans for it, so it's generally not useful, though occasionally it is. It was pretty cool. Or was it Royal Shock I had, or was... Yeah, I think it was Royal Shock I had. It was pretty cool. I love it when you get the desperation attacks in a fight, which is like a trigger to end, or you don't need to do the damage. It's something really silly. So I'm just gonna have to reload a stream here real quick because I accidentally pressed on the one of the buttons, but that's okay. I know what's happening. So everyone is getting through Doma, and General Leo is demonstrating that he's a pretty cool dude. He might not be on your side, but he's a pretty solid person. And he's telling Kefka, please remember these are people. Let's not be terrible. And Kefka's like, but terrible's my middle name. Yeah, it's not so great. So he tells the soldier that, our conscience is gone? We're not going with the rules of war. We're just going to poison them all. Are our guys also going to get killed? Sure, but the enemy's dead, so that's what matters, right? Kefka's really not a nice dude. So at this point, you have to fight Kefka twice. And at this point in the game, he is considered a player character. And so there's no point yet or no necessary reason to transfer the battle speed back down to 6, because it doesn't affect Kefka. You certainly can before the Kefka fight if it's easier for you to not remember, but it's not required until the battle after these 2 Kefka fights. So all you have to do these fights is you just hit Kefka once, he screams and runs away because Kefka. So, okay, I was going to say that was a little interesting, but so the strategy here now is to remove all of Shadow's gear but put his Imperial back on, to take all the gear that he had and optimize Sabin to give him a bit of extra defense, and then to also put the battle speed down to 6 again, and make sure to... okay, there's some weird things happening. I'm hoping it's just on my side. Anyways, and making sure to put Sabin into the front row because we want that extra damage. So in this first fight, what we do want to do here is we want to attack the guys in the front, just regular attacks because that's easier and is faster. And then for the guys in the back, the general strategy is to do pummel with Sabin as it's faster, and to throw the air lance that we also picked up in the returner's hideout at one of the back guards. Sometimes you will get an interceptor counter which will take care of them, and if you don't pick up that, you can either throw the dirk you got from Locke, because before he leaves he just drops all his gear. He's like, nope, too slow, take it, because he's not going to need it later. So either way, you get through that battle as fast as possible. And that, unfortunately, though, leaves Kefka to his own devices, and he proceeds with the plan. And he poisons the river, turning it a really delicious question mark, shade of purple, proving to everyone that you don't want the purple drink. Nobody likes it. They're having super sugar highs, which are not going so well. So unfortunately, everyone in Doma is dying, and Cyan and one of his co-workers, friends, person beside him are watching this happen in absolute horror. So and they realize, oh goodness, we should make sure the king is okay. So this is one of the other reasons we want to make sure that Cyan has the sprint shoes. And that's because for that very short period of time, we do have control of Cyan again. And so we want him to move as fast as possible. Again, this is a speed run, so wherever possible, we want to save time. So XCodes is going through the same cutscene now with everyone dying to the purple drink, and we are doing the fight with reBarbaloot, killing the guys in the front. See what happens for attacking the guys in the back. So yeah, gonna throw the air lancet. Yeah, you love getting that interceptor counter when you can. I've had the interceptor counter kill both of the Templars in the back, and it's beautiful. Actually, we never see Doma Soldier again after this point, so we can't actually confirm that he survives. Sorry to rain on that parade. Not to say he doesn't, but we can't confirm he does. So after confirming that the king was also poisoned and didn't make it, Cyan checked on his family, and double unfortunately, they were also killed. So, he is really angry for very obvious and understandable reasons. So he takes off to the Imperial camp to try and single-handedly kill everyone there, which, not the greatest idea. As good of a fighter as he is, generally not a great idea to fight everyone alone. So what we want for these next 3 battles is the 3 fights. Cyan is going to be on automatic, so we don't control him whatsoever. So in basically every case, we want him to just attack because it's faster, and all of the grunts which we're fighting here can all be just one shot. So using dispatch is a waste of time. In the 3rd and final battle, when we get there, we're going to base what we do off what Cyan does, because it does include one of the Templars in that fight who cannot be just one shot with a regular attack. So yes, in this fight, so we're going to see what he does. Shadow we make attack right away regularly, and then Sabin will attack depending. So because Cyan just regular attacked the cadet in the back, we have Sabin attack the soldier in the front regular just to kill him, and then all the separate attacks between Sabin, Shadow, and Cyan will take out the cadet, plus when in doubt throw an extra blitz in. The reason we are using Pummel and not or a Bolt in these fights is because Pummel is faster animation wise, and they both do enough damage to kill the soldiers that we're fighting. So what they decide the next step is they realize they are, even with all 3 of them, are not very successfully going to fight their way through this camp now that they've been discovered thanks to Cyan. So instead, they steal these really cool machines, the nice Magitech kind of game, and they go on a bit of a joyride. So the key here is to fight, I think it's 3 different encounters, and proceed. So as all of these fights except for one have less than 3 enemies, this is a perfect time to start rearranging your inventory. However, the next fight does have 3 enemies, and though you can still do some inventory management, there is something that much more important which must happen in this fight. And, unfortunate pincer, though it doesn't actually affect much as they have to kill everyone anyway. So, as you'll note, these Magitech armors have 3 different elemental beams, and you're fighting 3 different enemies. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing? Rainbow beam time. So it's another minor validation in your run because it just looks great. So also making sure, again, organizing that inventory. The main task with this particular inventory management is to simply get the Phoenix Downs to the top of the menu, as they are going to be the next in-battle item that we are going to make use of. So we have at least 1 Rainbow Beam. We're going to see how the next one goes, see if XCodes does it. And we're still fighting the cadets here with Psycho Cyan, so we'll leave him be for now. So yeah, 3 fights, and they have escaped and decide it'll be more hassle to just take those Magitech armors with them. They're abandoning them. Okay, let's see if XCodes does it. Okay, we got fire. Oh, we got Bolt. Moving things around first. And we got ice, so that's Rainbow Beam take 2. Love it. So, Valdercorn has reached the Phantom Forest, and so they are making their way through. And thankfully for everyone, there is a recovery spring, which, like the previous one, is a mandatory one you have to go to. The plot just goes, nope, I think you need a drink. It's somewhat recent, I think, with the Rainbow Beam. I think it was Takaze that introduced me to it, the previous match's commentary, and I just love it. I think it's beautiful, so there's no reason not to. So we really want that heal from the from that recovery spring, as we don't want to fight any enemies from here on, and we want to kind of be able to survive. So this is yet another situation where Sabin proves that he is not the brains here. And you don't have to rearrange inventory during this part with the Magitech armor. It's just an excellent time to do so. It's not at all required, and it's generally pretty easy. If you don't feel confident being able to rearrange your inventory and still save time, it's better to just kill whatever's there, because that will be best. And yeah, doing some inventory rearrangement here. So yeah, people do it at their own time. So Sabin's like, hey, there's this dilapidated train. Let's get on. It's a party. There might be, you know, survivors. It's not like, you know, yelling at the train might not get a response from anyone on it, for example. But so they get on the train and find out that this is actually the Phantom train, and the Phantom train is headed straight to the afterworld. So it is transporting the dead to the other side. So very quickly, for obvious reasons, our party decides, nope, they want none of that. So Valdercorn is still on, well, no, actually, it looks like he's not on step route, but generally the strategy there is you have some extra steps and you want to farm them at the end of the second train in order to get a better encounter than you would in a future car. But as he is not still on step route, it really doesn't matter so much. So you do get trapped in by that ghost, but even though they keep saying no escape, we escaped with very little difficulty. So the ghosts really do not like that you are trying to escape. Not fans of it whatsoever. So they're like, nope, you gotta stay. We're here. We're all gonna be friends. Yay, friends. You don't want to be friends with the ghosts. Nothing against the ghosts, but to be friends with these ghosts, you gotta stay here. And as Sabin put earlier, they have things to do. So it is time for bad idea number 3, which thankfully, as many of Sabin's bad ideas, does end up paying off. But he's like, hey, hopefully my training is paid off. I'm going to carry 2 adult men in jump train cars. Thankfully for everybody, his training has paid off and they made it. However, the ghosts are still following them. So they found a switch and make sure to detach train cars so they can say sayonara to the ghosts. Now, on XCode's screen, he does have a dead shadow. This is really no big deal. There are no encounters you have to fight in here. You're just running away from all your encounters, so it is a little bit of less safety for Shadow being dead, but in this case, you will just not even bother. It's better for you generally to just leave him. Leave him dead and manage. So, because as you're going to see from the boss, it's not particularly scary to do properly. It is possible to lose it, but it is fairly rare. So, making sure here to go in the back of this car to miss a cutscene, but to also pick up the earrings, which we're going to put to good use, which I'll explain in a little bit. So everyone is now on the train. So Phantom train times 3. So one of the main reasons that we step out for the Phantom Train is there is a lot of really nasty encounters, such as these bombs. And when you are on a step route, you will only get an encounter of one pack of bombs. You'll get 3 or 4 of them. I can't remember the exact number, but there's only one in the pack. So when they do that blaze, they generally can only do it once. So that is not so bad, because as you saw, yeah, that blaze hurts a lot. So, okay, making sure for a bit of safety to cure everyone up. Generally, you don't need to there, but this is a marathon race setting. Better safe than sorry in all cases, as far as I'm concerned. You do what's best for you for sure. So, first train, let's see how many memes we get. Hopefully, we want, ideally, all the memes. So, unfortunately, but fortunately, the Phantom Train did go first with an evil toot, but fortunately, it did not do a status ailment on Sabin, which would make it so he could not suplex the train. So that is absolutely not officially required for time save. You, in fact, lose time by doing that, but guys, who doesn't want to suplex the train, really? The Sabin even has a beautiful emote for that. So that is a valid run. Your run is not valid unless you suplex the train. So if you want that run validation, you know what you have to do. That being said, it is entirely possible that you attempt to suplex the train and you get evil tooted into an imp for Sabin. In that case, Sabin is physically unable to do any blitzes. So as far as I'm concerned, so long as you attempted the blitz and we're getting ready to do it, your run's still valid, because sometimes the train just says no. So, but thankfully we've got 1 suplex. Let's see if we have 2 more. I have faith in the game and these runners that we have 2 more suplexes. So you do occasionally see runners that don't do the suplex on purpose, but they live sad, suplexless lives, and you don't want that in your life. You don't need that negativity. You need suplexes, right? Okay, suplex number 2 for XCodes. Let's see. So again, he does have a little bit less safety. Nope, trying it anyways. And getting the poison. Oh, but incorrect blitz input. Oh. So, he is not going to be able to try again, because he's going to try again anyways. Nice. Oh, that's not good. So the reason you don't want to try again is the strategy for killing this train is to do a Phoenix down. And you can't use a Phoenix down with a berserked character. So after 2 tries, unfortunately, he is not going to be able to do it. But tune him back in just in time for reBarbaloot to do it. So he did us a solid, even though the Phantom Train, we're going to give the validation to XCodes because he tried. He tried twice, guys. So good job for all of our runners doing the memes. So as soon as you are off the Phantom Train, though, you do have a section of time where you have a timer which is counting down, where literally you are standing there waiting. And that timer does progress while you're in the menu. So we take that as an opportunity to equip both earrings and the True Knight on Sabin and rearrange our inventory a little, making sure our memory cursor is on the poison. Now, because Valdercorn did attempt to be on step route but got off of the step route, it means he got this Grasshopper encounter, which is it's not a big deal for right here, but it is a big deal for when we get to the Veld, because it means there's a very good chance that he is going to get that encounter. And one of the moves that those Grasshoppers do is that they cast Berserk on you. So that makes it much more difficult in order to get Gao on the Veld with that encounter. But it is still possible, especially if you know what you're doing. So it's not devastating. Valdercorn also made sure to completely unequip Cyan and then re-equip him with just the Ashura. That is the setup for our next set of glitches that we're doing right here on the waterfall. This is a series of glitches, actually, so it is really quite interesting. So the first thing we're going to do is both Sabin and Cyan are going to attack Cyan. We want to kill Cyan off, and that's why we wanted to remove his armor to make that easier. easier. We did put the True Knight onto Sabin in order to protect Cyan. So, because he will be low attack later. That was really excellent idea to kill that one Piranha, which does need to be killed, with an attack from Cyan, and then have Sabin finish him off. Because if Cyan is in critical HP, Sabin will protect him even from Cyan's own hits. So, and now a really cool glitch with Cyan is that after he has been killed and brought back to life, if you then use Retort, which is his counter sword tech, it gets a little broken to the point where he will counter literally any physical attack which occurs, whether it's against him or not. So to that effect, we suplex the Piranha, which doesn't work because the Piranha is immune. It misses. It triggers Cyan's Retort, which is one glitch. And then the second glitch is because you attacked that Piranha with both a magical attack and a physical attack at the same time, the game gets really confused, and rather than moving on to the next set of Piranhas that it's supposed to do, or the boss if you have gone through that much time, it just ends. It's just like, nope, we're done, we're out. I also want to make comment on the beautiful sync that I'm seeing right here now, at least on my screens, for reBarbaloot and XCodes. It's a shame they're not racing against each other, because that would be super hype. Not so in sync now because of the menuing, but really, really cool to see. So Gao also does get renamed down to G, and we're going to see here now in a moment exactly why this tournament is called Wherefore Art Gao, because we need Gao to progress the plot, and he likes to hide away quite a bit. Valdercorn making sure to heal up Cyan, because the last thing we want to have happen is to have him die on the Veld. So the strategy here is you will be running away from any battle that is possible to run away from, and defeating any battle which is either a Gao non-eligible battle or, say, a pincer, which again is a Gao non-eligible. So until we get to Moblitz. So this Lobo fight is an expected attack, and actually one we want, because until we get the dried meat from Moblitz, we are unable to recruit Gao even if he shows up. And where this is the beginning of the game encounter, it is easy to kill these guys. You see Valdercorn is using blitzes and sword techs. That's the slow way to do this battle. You are actually best off just physical attacking all of them, because you can one-shot all of them. And because it is a pincer as well, Gao is guaranteed not to show up, which is ideal at this point. Once we hit Moblitz, on the other hand, and get our dried meat, that's another story. So I will note everyone is still really close. Valdercorn is in the lead against reBarbaloot, but it is still quite close. So because if Gao doesn't show up, that ends it. So this is why this encounter can be bad. So if you are on your correct seed but off step route, you are guaranteed to get this Grasshopper encounter if you did encounter it on the world map. So you do want to kill these guys, because this is a Gao eligible encounter, but they have the chance to berserk you, which for obvious reasons is not great. Ooh, that is not good on XCode's screen. So he is doing a safety potion. Good. No one got. Oh, very nice for Valdercorn. No one got berserked, and Gao showed up first try. So that's beautiful. Though, good for XCodes, even though everything didn't go right. And I'm not quite sure what went wrong, so he got a Rizopass. But he did manage to kill Rizopass without dying, which is important, because Rizopass can basically one-shot your party if he has enough turns. He can just do a multi-party attack, I believe, and you just die. You don't have enough HP to live. So definitely not ideal. We have, looks like reBarbaloot just on his way to Moblitz, while we get our 1.5-minute Gao cutscene for Valdercorn. Now, if you are doing step route, between Moblitz and the cave where we are heading, oh my god, he memed it. So I'll finish the first thought. We have 2 encounters before we get to the cave. So Gao has a 5 out of 8 chance of showing up. So you do have 2 battles for him to show up. So it doesn't particularly matter which one he shows up in. However, reBarbaloot, because he thought he got a non-runnable encounter that was Gao eligible, so he did have to fight it, and Gao showed up. But since he didn't have the dried meat yet, rather than just attacking Gao regularly to make him go away, he memed it for us because he understands, and he suplexed Gao. So Gao, very understandably upset, ran away. So, and don't worry, we all love Gao, except for his tendency to not show up when we really desperately are looking for him. Yeah, no El Nino for our runner, any of our runners, which is great. So that was very good for Valdercorn. Now, speaking of Valdercorn, we have a very special guest joining us in our stream today. I want everyone to celebrate in our chat. Well, please welcome Kappa to the screen. Woo! All the cheers. He is here to teach us how to do the leaping and the raging and everything completely irrelevant because we're not going to be spending enough time on the Veld to use anything but the rages we already have for poor Gao. So, and when we do use him on purpose, we know which of the 2 rages we want to use. So, looks like reBarbaloot had some excellent luck, and he also is in his Gao encounter, so that's great. It is XCode who is now making his way to Moblitz, making it there just fine. So, and made it to the cave for Valdercorn. So, this cave is the gateway to the end of Sabin's scenario, the Serpent Trench. So the Serpent Trench can be really scary. So one of the common safety save points in this run is immediately before entering this cave. However, it isn't particularly necessary. It just is a layer of safety. If everyone's at full before you enter into the into there, you're probably fine, but there are a couple of encounters, one in particular, which can go very, very poorly. So definitely don't want that if you can avoid it. So, but for now, we're diving in and see how the river goes. Oh, and it looks like we have Gao for XCodes as well. So, oh, and we have Kappa take 2, guys. Let's continue to cheer on our little green friend. While poor Gao being laughed at by both Cyan and Sabin, they don't understand his plight. I wouldn't want to jump into those rapids. It looks terrifying. So we're going to see what encounters he gets. Ideally, there's 2 sections to the trench. It will be separated by a cave, providing he goes the correct way. You want to go right the first time, which is the automatic. Ooh, okay, so I have to explain this encounter. He got a singular Aggriform, which is extraordinarily dangerous. This is the one really dangerous encounter in the Serpent Trench, though thankfully he got away before any danger happened. So when an Aggriform comes in an encounter in a single enemy pack, he has a possibility of using the Aqua Rake ability, which will, if not total party kill your party, it will do some great damage, which is not ideal. Usually the strategy there is to just kill the Aggriform as quickly as possible, but he did get very lucky by dodging it there, so gotta love it. That is what we want to see. So getting through the first half correctly with no problems, went right way and then through the cave. The second half, the direction you want to go is left, which is not automatic. If you don't touch the controller, it will automatically go right again. So, however, Valdercorn knew that was coming up, so was holding left, so it immediately selected the correct direction. So you also notice here that Cyan is low HP right now. Also, if you care, Kappa take 3. So we are not panicking about Cyan being low HP. Actually, we applaud it, and we'll applaud it more if he dies. because the thing about running away is, again, each character has an individual run gauge which they have to fill up along with having a full ATB gauge, and Cyan's is the longest, so it takes him a really long time to run away. But if he's dead, we don't need to wait for him to run away. Everyone else will run away and leave his poor body there in the trench, or alternatively take it with us when we run. So making it through, no problem in the trench. So that is really good trench for Valdercorn, just in time for his opponent reBarbaloot to also join him in the trench. So let us see what happens here. And XCodes is still making his way to the Serpent Trench, and looks like we'll take a safety save, which is smart. So save. Looks like Valdercorn is selling a bunch of things. He may not have gotten the black belt drop, and if not, he is selling all the extra things which are not necessary in order to get enough extra money to purchase a mithril pike from the weapon shop, and then to go and buy a stack of smoke bombs, minimum of 11. That's pretty tight, but you can make do with 11 smoke bombs, which are then going to be used in both Locke and Terra's scenarios. The reason we buy the mithril pike there in Nakia is it allows us to avoid going into a Moogle-filled cave in Narshe to pick up the rune edge, which is also a better item which we want to put on Edgar. But since we're in IKEA anyways and have to go right past the weapon dealer in most cases, it tends to be mostly equivalently as fast and actually does a little bit more damage. So it's definitely safer than getting trolled by Moogle NPCs. So now we enter in Locke's scenario, which is generally what we do second, though again, there's no particular order between Locke and Terra's scenario as to which is next. So it is pretty important here to put Locke in the second position, equip him with sprint shoes, and optimize his equipment. It is going to be a little dangerous for him having less armor there, but should be fine. And what we're trying to do here is we want to clip past that guard, which if you make it there in enough time, go into your menu and then press right while you're leaving your menu. As you can see happen on Valdercorn's screen, you walk right through that guard, so you don't have to do any presto changeo disguise times with Locke, as fun as they are. And you also do not recruit certain other characters which you usually would recruit in that cave. Don't worry about it, nothing weird happens because of that. So he is making his way back through the South Figaro cave, which we did at the beginning of the game, but this time we have smoke bombs. So we are going to use those for any encounter that is not a preemptive or a side attack, to get us out of battles. If you do happen to get a preemptive, it is faster than using a smoke bomb. Now, the reason that we have Locke in the second position is because of this exact encounter, the Gold Bear one. If you happen to get a pincer attack with this, if Locke is in the first position, then he will have his back to the Gold Bear, and the Gold Bear's special attack of Gouge has the potential to just one-shot Locke, which is not ideal whatsoever. However, if he is in the second position, he will be guaranteed to be facing front to that Gold Bear, which makes it a bit safer. So ideally, we don't want a pincer attack at all, though with our smoke bombs, we can get away safely. But yes, definitely not ideal. Also making sure to pick up the Thunder Rod. So we're getting some baby rages here from, oh goodness, I can see why. Baby rages from XCode in the chat. Reason being is he got stop locked with his Cyan, which did waste some time, but as a little bit of a bonus, Cyan did die. The downside to that is he only had one encounter after that, and it is a preemptive. So he didn't really need Cyan to be dead at that point anyways. But still, he made it through. Everyone survived. Not a huge amount of time lost, though still not ideal. So that is great. Okay, making sure to get his smoke bombs. and bought enough, so again, making sure to have 800 GP to get the Mithril Pike. So, we're being talked to by our invisible friend here in this battle, telling us that they are going to do something cool. But I think they need to watch what we're doing, because we're doing something really cool. So, by not picking up any chests in this cave, you can go back and pick up a Thunder Rod in the chest which we opened. And that Thunder Rod is very overpowered, because not only does it do, I believe, the second level of the Thunder spell, but it also rods are guaranteed to do max damage, plus they bypass the magic defense of whatever you're using them on, so it does an extraordinary amount of damage, making it really super easy to one-shot that boss. So, looks like reBarbaloot got through his lock clip, and we're about to see XCode attempted it himself. So, we'll see what happens. So, back in Terra's scenario, we are on the river again. But this time, we have smoke bombs. So, unless something goes particularly poorly, we will be able to get through. Oh, goodness. And speaking of things going ridiculously poorly, I could see that happening even before I said it. Unfortunately, Bannon, you still have to deal with the problem with Bannon having only 120 HP, and if he dies, that's it. So it looks like Valdercorn has officially forfeit from the race. His last save point was back in before the river. That was an extraordinary time loss, so he has chosen to end it there, which is certainly understandable. That is so brutal. So sorry to hear that for Valdercorn, but it unfortunately does happen. And the worst part about that is there is a max of 3 encounters in that river, and you start at full health, so it is very rare for you to die in the river. However, it is for exactly this reason why some people choose to save in the scenario select screen, just for that bit of safety. I will note that we get a bit of memeing going on from XCodes, which I can definitely appreciate. He did go just far enough into Locke's scenario to get into the merchant outfit, and so Locke is now glitched to be in the merchant outfit for the rest of the run, which is pretty cool. No effect whatsoever other than looking neat. So, yeah, so I hope you didn't like his previous sprite, because it's gone now. Gone forever. So he's gonna make his way through. So we do see that reBarbaloot did make it through the river and is currently heading to Narshe, while XCode is attempting to get the Thunder Rod for himself. Ooh. Just changed my sound, and that one was much louder. So, near the beginning of the game, Locke made sure that we knew that there was a secret passage here, because, lo and behold, turns out that we do need to head back through here in order to sneak into the town. Because if you do try and head in through the front door, they deny you entry. They recognize Terra from when she was there earlier trashing things. They have no idea who Bannon is, and they think Edgar's a fake. They're like, "You're not the king, get out of here." So they refuse to let you in. They're quite cagey. So the strategy here is to use smoke bombs everywhere, and during one of the smoke bomb animations is a perfect time to equip that second mithril pike that we picked up in Nakia, or if they do choose to pick it up, the rune blade on Edgar once they get it. And it's again a perfect time to equip it there, so we don't need to do a separate menu to do that. So, reBarbaloot has reached the security system, which generally is that you walk and you follow the glowing light. And if you make a mistake, though, you're supposed to tap the glowing light in order to continue, otherwise you'll have to fight a battle. Well, it just so turns out that if you press and hold A, the first input which is registered when you step off the path is the glittering light, so you don't have to worry about fighting an extra fight, and you're off the path and right where the door is. And yes, I do have to agree, Bannon is the worst. It is, yeah, it's terrible. He has too little HP, and losing everything for one character dying is one of my least favorite mechanics in existence. So right now, still trying to make it through the cave, but again, we'll not have to go into a room full of Moogles, which will save some time. And it looks like XCodes has also made it off the river. So time for his walk to Narshe. So XCodes and reBarbaloot are quite close. However, I do need to reiterate, they are not racing against each other. So though being close looks cool, we can unofficially race them against each other, but officially they are both the winners of their matches. So I'm just gonna shift some windows around here. There we go. Or will I? I'm gonna keep things shiny where they are. We're going to continue running away from absolutely everything. Really not very exciting this point, because you're just walking through, running. Oh, hey guys, what are we doing this time? Running. So, and followed up by that will be a long set of cutscenes where everyone joins together again. Yeah, Bannon's runaway, from what I understand, is even worse than Cyan's. It's brutal. It's really difficult. So, reBarbaloot has officially made it to the end of Terra's scenario. After this short cutscene, it will end, and we enter into cutscene central, and with the only thing left being the fight against Kefka. That guy at the end of the run, the thing this whole category is named after. While we're gonna see how XCodes does with his security system walk. Should be fine. So, yep, making it through just fine. And officially out of Terra's scenario for reBarbaloot, and through lots of cutscenes. So the general gist of what's happening here is Narshe is currently a neutral state. They are not supporting the Empire, and they do not support the Returners. And they wish to keep it that way. And we've come here to try and convince them that, no, you need to join this. You have an Esper. We kind of want the Esper. Or at least need you to not go ahead with the Empire. And very quickly, you come forward with stories, like Sabin and Cyan come up and say, yeah, they totally just poisoned all of Doma. And Narshe's like, well, that's unfortunate, but that's because they sympathized with the Returners. And then Locke shows up and he's like, no, being neutral is not enough. They are posed to attack you right now. We have to keep going. We need to defend. You cannot be neutral anymore. So they manage or attempt to mount a defense against the Empire's forthcoming attack. Also, Cyan really doesn't like people from the Empire for obvious reasons, and we so happen to have this Moogle, which is General Kutan. Very well-known general of the Empire, and Cyan is very displeased with this. Though Kutan insists that they are no longer with the Empire. So what happens there, instead of getting Celeste, at the beginning of the game, when you do the big Moogle battle, you have Locke and Terra already initialized, and then they put Moogles into all of the rest of the character memory slots. And every time you recruit and name a new character, their information gets stored and saved into a slot over one of the Moogles, overwriting that Moogle information. However, we never went and got Celis, and we never renamed her. So, as such, that character slot still contains Kutan the Moogle, who cannot be equipped, cannot level up, and is generally completely useless because wasn't particularly great at the beginning of the game when we were using it. So, yeah, there are full categories which don't do that particular skip, either because of the glitchless or just because they might need Celeste later. I know glitchless doesn't do it for sure. So, And I was going to say, who's this Celeste you're talking about? General Kutan is right here. So, anyone who knows me at all knows I'm a huge proponent for safety saving. You just keep seeing time and time again what happens when you don't have that safety saving. But there are certain points where it is more critical than others, and this save point right before fighting Kefka is one of the main ones which I always advocate for. So now we're going to have a similar type of fight as the Moogle fight at the beginning, but unlike the Moogle fight where we were given pre-generated parties, we get to build our own party this time. So we build 2 useless, basically empty parties, and we build a party full of our absolute tanks and destructive people. So we're going to do the same sort of strategy, except it works a tiny bit different here. You can still bypass the enemies while they're in a moving animation. However, these soldiers come in 2 different waves, and there are places we can stand where it doesn't even matter. No, Kutan's completely useless. Kutan is absolutely adorable. We definitely love the fluffy Moogle and the little pom-pom on the top of his head, but in terms of a usable character, you don't want Kutan. So, making sure to do some last equipping, which is not particularly necessary there, but doesn't hurt to do. And we're waiting for the last brown soldier to pass above Edgar, so he can then move and go to attack Kefka. Now, the timing on this is fairly tight, because they are still heading towards the top, and you do not, under any circumstances, want them to make it to your top characters. So, bypassing the rider, which is exactly what you want. So, Kefka fight. You want to be weight tricking that first Aura Bolt from Sabin, because you want to try and avoid Kefka's 3rd turn, which has a possibility to do a full party Ice 2, which is just terrible. It is really awful. So we have Gao using either, oh, that's a 2nd away trick, which is great. So Gao uses either Hornet or Exocyte Rage, both of which are good. I like Hornet personally. We have Genji Glove with the 2 good weapons on Edgar, Dispatch with Cyan, and Aura Bolt with Sabin. Oh, a 3rd way trick. This is a really, really nice Kefka fight, which he has completed. So his official finish time is 1:33 on the dot. So congratulations to reBarbaloot for that 1st place finish. That Kefka fight was beautiful. It was a work of art. So that is exactly how you want to see that fight to go. So just in time for XCodes to also reach the fight at Narshe. So let's see how it goes for him. Both his walk, which generally, again, as long as you're not impatient, you should never have to worry about fighting any of these guys, other than potentially the rider. He takes quite a bit of practice to get used to dodging. Once you've got it, though, you'll dodge him most times. Yeah, and as Tina is noting in the chat, 133 without seed manipulation is quite a good time, so congratulations there. So XCode's waiting for his last brown soldier to pass, and away he goes. So let's see. Oh, little too quick, and so he does have to fight the rider. So preemptive attack is nice. That is what we ideally want, because this rider can do a bit of damage. We're not too worried about the rider actually killing us or anything, but you want to have as much HP as possible for going into the Kefka fight, because again, if he does get one of his nasty attacks off, you don't want to deal with that. It is generally bad. And by generally, I mean completely awful. So we'll see what he does here, whether some people choose to do a quick heal, and some people run right into Kefka. So yeah, he's going the safe route, which I definitely kind of advocate for, and curing up Edgar. So time for Kefka, strategy remains the same, so let's see how it goes. So often you make sure to bypass Sabin's turn if he goes first, just so you can more effectively weight trick. So, and he did it with Gao's menu. You only officially need to weight trick Aura Bolt once, but if you have the opportunity to weight trick it multiple times, it is super effective, but it is a lot harder to make that work. So again, not required. One weight trick is usually enough to do it. So let's see how this all plays out. Oh, no! He got to the third turn, and it is a full party one. Oh, not good. Very, very bad. So we're hoping that this is enough to kill Kefka. And it was! That was so incredibly fortuitous. So XCodes has finished with a final time of 1:35.41. So congratulations to all of our runners. GG, very good runs. Some unfortunate luck there. For Valdercorn, but unfortunately these sort of things do happen on occasion. So congratulations to all.
Yeah, and first and foremost, thank you very much for that awesome commentary, Nitara. Much, much appreciated. GG to everybody. Make sure... Yeah, there we go. You already putting it in. Make sure to follow the runners, and of course Nitara for the awesome commentary. Yeah, that's it for now for us. Let me quickly take a quick look at the schedule. There is more races going on even today, I believe. Oh yeah, that's a good one. At 9 Eastern over on Creative Ellie's stream. There's going to be another double header. We have Holy Smith versus Ninnies and Nurem versus Nitsky. Those are two really good races, so definitely watch out for that one. On Limit Break, I'm not sure. We are going to have a race on Tuesday, it looks like. That is booked for this channel, so until then, Natara mentioned this earlier. Keep an eye out on the schedule. We're filling up races as they go, if a restreamer is available, so always keep an eye out. Hope you enjoyed the stream, my friends. That's it. Let me see. Maybe I can send you somewhere. I'm gonna try and have a look-see if anybody is playing FF6 at this point. Where is it? There it is. Oh! Ninnies is doing a no sketch run right now before his race. That's exciting. Yeah, I think... Yeah, sure. You guys can go watch Ninnies do a no sketch run. He's at the end as well. So... head over here for more FF6, and then later on, 9 PM Eastern Standard Time, Creative Ellie stream. There's going to be a double header there. Again, Natara, thank you so much for the awesome commentary. Much appreciated.
More than welcome.
And yeah, guys, until next time, stay cool. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.